All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rachak I want to give double honors to my apostle and elders, Great Millstone, who teach very well. I learned this truth from. And that salutation out there to the hopeful elect who continue to push this word and our truth, faith, and sincerity. And also, shalom to all the men, women, and children who sincerely believe upon the words of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And today, man, just touching and getting on, this devil actually showing and revealing himself here in these latter days. Because for centuries and decades, this guy had been pushing forth the so-called white man as being the best thing since sliced bread. But as time comes on and as time reveals itself, it had been revealed that you're the devil that the Bible speaks of. Now, that word devil, people want you to think about a guy in a red spandex suit with a goatee and a train. No, that devil actually means somebody who's a deceiver, And ultimately, you deceive the whole planet Earth that actually follow after wickedness, man. That's the reason why the whole planet Earth is basically out of course. Let's go ahead and get this real quick. This is the book of Isaiah 24. This is the book of Isaiah 24, and I'm going to just get to the point in verse 5. It says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Yes. So the earth is defiled under the rulership of the so-called white man. And the reason why, because you're not the rightful owners. Spiritually, the planet earth is bucking on you, man. Because look how you treat this place. Number one, you have islands of trash in the middle of the sea. You spray chemtrails amongst yourself and even your people. It ain't like you the only person that have to breathe in that oxygen. You even being evil to yourself, man. And like it says, he that is evil to himself, to whom shall he be good? You living on the planet Earth and you poison the same water that you drank out of, man, and your people drank out of, man. Showing you that you're nothing but a wicked guy who have rulership. But let's read this again. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they changed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Ultimately, you did everything that the Heavenly Father told you not to. And really, that's the spirit of Esau that he always been in, man. He was in that spirit in the time when he was Cain. The Lord asked for the best of your flock. This guy brought fruits. He was like that when he was Esau. The Lord told him, no, don't go down and marry the Canaanite women. You did that anyway. So at the end of the day, Yahweh Shemawashai is just letting Esau reveal himself or who he truly is. And who he is, he's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. Let's get something else, because it got to a point you can't play it off anymore. The only thing you can do now is just let your horns loose and be yourself, man. Because that mirage of the good guy is long gone away with. That Mr. Rogers spirit, even the guys like Ronald Reagan and Joe Biden, you'll think they just some fragile guys, but you go into their history, these guys are sickos, man, and ruthless and brutal. Hillary Clinton, niggas are off you in a second, man. But again, they want that mirage that they're the good guy. Let's get this real quick in the book of Sirach 12, and let's start at verse please bear me. Let's start at verse 6. It says, the Most High hateth sinners and will repay vengeance to the ungodly. Yes. So the Lord hate the actions that's happening upon the planet Earth. Whether it be niggas love eating pork, or whether it be for the lack of better words, the LGXYZ, people not keeping the land south. The Lord is going to punish you from that, man. Continuing on. It says, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their judgment. So the Lord preserving you. And that's the reason why you see Esau's on top. So that destruction can be much more greater. If it was Vatican City, after a couple years, it'll be like Pompeii. It'll be long forgotten. No. The Lord is going to make this glorified city be destroyed in a matter of 1 hour. And that's one way that the Lord is going to glorify his name, man. showing the power that he have. Continuing on though. It says, give unto the good and help not the sinner. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hid in adversity. And that's the times that we're coming into, man. The times of Jacob's trouble, and you're going to see who's the devil then. When this nigga cut off the food supply, you know, when he do a man-made famine, and ultimately when he try to force this tiny little device upon you, then you're going to realize the devil been amongst you. But for a lot of people, it's going to be too late. Let's go ahead and continue on. It says, in prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Yes, because ultimately, you know, you're going to have that hour of temptation, man. You know, you're going to have that hour of temptation, but at the same time, just going back, even we be in the kingdom of heaven, Esau going to be grieved once we be in our glory. You know, and even when we be at our low, this guy's going to be excited. But let's go ahead and continue on. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So when you're in that low time, once you're going through trouble, this guy's going to try to come and help you. But the only thing that he's going to help forward is your death, man. Continuing on, though. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching. Yes, the spirit of Hillary Clinton. You can see, you know, Joe Biden, this guy look fragile, but you go into this guy's history behind closed doors, this guy ain't nothing to play with, you know? Continuing on, though. It says, yet take good heed and beware of him. Beware of the so-called white man. Beware of Cain, you know? Why? Because Cain bring forth death. It says, continuing on, and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as thou wipe the looking glass, and thou hast see and thou know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. Yes, he's twice the devil that he was before. Because again, just like how his wickedness rust, and you try to clean it up, for lack of better words, it's actually going to get worse, man. You can't reverse that process of this guy being the devil that the Bible speaks of. So for you people who try to find a way for Edomites to be saved, hey, you're going against the ways of the Heavenly Father, man. You're being an adversary. You're really being Satan, you know? Why? Because you're a supporting of Satan. You know what I'm saying? Continuing on, though, it says, say him not by thee, least we have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And that's what he's trying to do with the children of Yasharallah. That's the reason why he don't want us to know about the children of Naphtali. He don't want us to know the question, what Ephraim is. You know, you claim that you have Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but what about Issachar, Reuben, you know, Ephraim, Asher, you know? Continuing on, though, it says, neither let him sit in thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Yes, because ultimately you're going to realize that the Bible is faithful and true, and that Solomon warned you about these devils. Isaac warned you about it, man. You know, Adam, this guy killed, you know. Just imagine the advice Seth got, man, when Cain killed Abel, man. You don't supposed to mess with that boy, man. Why? Because he's the devil that the Bible speaks of. Continuing on, though, it says, who will be a charmer that is bent with a serpent, or any such as come now wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner is defiled with him in his sins, and that's why we saying, don't go back into the world. Because while the world is defiled, going back into that Isaiah the 24th chapter, telling you Esau's upon the scene. It says, so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with them in his sins, who will pity? So we're not going to pity you for trusting the devil, the so-called white man. Why? Because we told you that he was the devil a long time ago. Let's get this in the book of 2 Thessalonians 2. Let's start at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except there come a falling away first. Yes. So again, we have to fall away from our heritage in order for us to get closer unto the Lord. But who deceived us from our heritage, man? Who told us we were just African Americans and not Hebrews? The so-called white man. Continuing on, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Yes. And that man of sin, again, is the so-called white man, a son of perdition, that where perdition actually goes back into what? Destruction. Because his destructive nature throughout the planet Earth, mentally, physically, and emotionally, man. Continuing on, though. It says, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High. Because the laws and statutes that he set up, he's basically claiming that he's the Heavenly Father, man. That he is. But ultimately, the only thing that you will is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Continuing on. It says, or that is worship, so that he asked the Most High, sitting in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And this is something that should piss you off, man. Now, if you're a true believer, no matter what skin color you is, or somebody to face your power, ultimately that person should be punished, man. But let's continue on, though. Remember, ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and ye know what withhold that he might be revealed in his time. Because back in the day, during that Roman age, even though it was certain people claiming the Idumean tribe, really it wasn't in the fulfillment. Obadiah, you can talk about the book of Obadiah, but you can really bring the book of Obadiah out now. Why? Because it's basically the fulfillment of Job 9:24 now, man. So the judgment that's going to get ready to come down upon the nation of Edom and their families is well deserved. Look at what he's doing throughout the whole planet Earth through his colonism. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't bow down into his system, guess what he do? He bomb you to hell and back. And he dare you to say something behind it. Because if you do, he will do it again and then demonize you. Continuing on, though, look what he did to Maduro. Look what he did to Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and everybody who tried to stick up for their people. Ultimately, he flipped the script, and now he's the bad guy. Overnight, a guy changed his country. Overnight, they have riches and things like that. They prosper for a couple seconds. They moved away from the central bank, and all of a sudden, here's a thing that's popping up that he's the bad guy now again. Who you think did that? The so-called white man. And this is something that he always did. These plans that he's running, it's not a new play. No, this is the same MO that he's been running since the Roman Empire. Continuing on, though. It says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who in our level will elect until he be taken out of the way. Because everybody didn't understand who was the Edomites back then. And the importance of them. Because it's an important thing for this guy to run rapid throughout the whole planet Earth just so the Heavenly Father can destroy him. Continuing on, though, it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And what's the spirit of his mouth? His prophets. That's why we out there on the highways and byways signing the crown for all the abominations that get done in the midst thereof. And Esau hate that. And the reason why, because we're calling him out on all his BS, man. And then he know too, once the prophets go out there on the highways and byways, he ultimately know that his kingdom only have a certain time left. Because once the prophets out there on the scene, then now it's just a ticking time clock until your kingdom get taken out the way. Continuing on, though, it says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him who's coming after the working of Satan. Yes, that word Satan actually goes back into Shaitan, which means what? To be a deceiver, to be an adversary, man. The Lord tell you to jump, you sit down. The Lord tell you to sit down, you jump. You're totally opposite. So go ahead and continuing on. Even who's coming after the working the same, with all powers and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and of unrighteousness, in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And also for the ones who trust this so-called white man, who trust this devil who's been fucking you over for years. If you can continue to trust him, the Lord saying you might as well, man. You still going to get destroyed with them. But if you have this truth, then now you're awoken, you can recognize and react to this guy, man. And like it says in the book of Corinthians, we are not ignorant of same devices now. You know? So yeah, I pray this video is edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakodash. I want to give double honors to my apostle, elders, Millstone, and Shalom.